the fellow travelers, Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're back in Miami. We're on South Beach on Ocean Drive, and today we're going to talk about are some of the scams you might see when you come here to Miami. Now, there's not a ton of scams and not a ton of tourist trap stuff, but there are some things you really need to know as a tourist, and probably for me, the one that got me the most when I come here, and has got me before, is kind of the bait and switch at restaurants and bars. Because here on South Beach, you might see places that'll offer you, 3 drinks for $20 or 4 drinks for $25, and they get you to come in for that. But then once you get in, they're like, but don't you want to get the cool big mega drink? You're like, that does look good. And so you get the funny huge glass drink that turns out to be $40. You're like, oh my God, what just happened? So do be aware of that, because that does happen quite often. More here on South Beach and other parts of the city, but something to be aware of. Also, when you go out to eat here, I mean, there's tons of restaurants, there's tons of great food to eat here. But one thing I gotta say is always check your bill, okay, when it comes to, because it's maybe not a scam, it could be just a overabundance of problems and accidents that happen, that you might have an appetizer added on, or an extra beer, or extra something. You wanna make sure that the order is all correct, that you're paying for what you ordered. Most places are fine, but you do want to take care, especially if it's like a party area or you've been drinking or whatever. It's easy to kind of slip something in. You want to check that. Also, another thing that tourists mess up when they come here, you want to make sure you check to see is if the gratuity is included, okay? Because some restaurants automatically put a 20% gratuity, some don't put anything on there, but you want to check, because if the gratuity is already there, you don't have to add more of a tip. If it's not, you do add your 15 to 20% tip, okay? Now, another kind of tourist trap scammy thing I gotta tell you is if you're gonna be coming to South Beach, which is fun, I mean, it's great to see the people walking around, especially at night when everything's lit up, but because this is such a tourist hotspot, it is kind of a overpriced, scammy tourist trap when you come out here at night to eat. Even if you're going a few blocks away, you can save yourself a lot of cash when you're here, but honestly, all these restaurants over here, you're gonna pay a lot more for maybe not as good of food as other places. I mean, it'll be fine, but you can get better Cuban food other places in the city. You get better vegan food other places in the city. So do watch out if you're on Ocean Drive. Go a few blocks in or go into Miami proper and go and enjoy food there. Another thing you might notice when you're going around, you might see promoters that are trying to get you to go to a club, like, here, I'll give you a wristband here and you can get in for free, or free drinks at this club. Their whole job is to get you into the club. That's how they make their money. Don't always assume that the promises that those promoters make to you are really true. I've bumped into actually some of my former students here in Miami, and they were pissed about those promoters promising things that weren't delivered. So if you want to go to a club, go to the club. Don't think the promoter is going to get you any extra help or extra discounts. It might happen, but don't think it's the way, okay? Now, another thing I think is important for tourists to know when they come here, kind of one where you kind of scam yourself, is if you fly into Fort Lauderdale. Look, if you're looking for flights to Miami, you can fly to Miami Airport, the main airport here, no problem. But sometimes you find cheaper flights to Fort Lauderdale. But here's the thing, saving $100 on your flight to Miami by going to Fort Lauderdale, you're gonna spend more than that to take the taxi or the Uber in from Fort Lauderdale into Miami than if you just would have flown into Miami in the first place. And then I want to talk about Little Havana, because I like Little Havana, I like going out there, but I think in a way it's almost a tourist trap because people think that's the only place you can get good Cuban food here in Miami. There is great Cuban food all over Miami. There's great Haitian food, there's great Honduran food, there's great Brazilian food. There's a lot of great places you can go eat. And don't think that Little Havana is your only option for good Cuban food. But do go to Little Havana because it's worth going to, but don't think it's the end-all be-all of Cuban food and Cuban culture here in Miami, because there's so much more to enjoy, okay? Now, of course, if you go to any city, you have the usual scams, with your taxis, make sure that you're taking the right way. Don't leave your stuff in your car so people can see it. If there's anybody playing the shell game or any buskers, obviously always pay attention to those things. But in general, there's not a ton of scams when you come here to Miami. These are just ones that are very specific that I think you should know. We do have a video on travel scams in general that will help you out if you do come here, because there are just normal, typical scams you have to think about. Anyway, I wish you all the best. I'll say bye from here in Miami.